What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Everyone's having a great day today. Behind me is, of course, my newly returned home sport Trac that is back from 6 months, almost 7 months, down at the shop for numerous reasons due to a car fire. So if you guys haven't seen the last video where we brought it home, go check that out. I think you guys enjoy it. But let's get right into today's video. It's time for another sport Trac trivia type deal. Some insight for those looking to buy these trucks, what exactly to look out for, and what differences there are, and all sorts of stuff, which brings me to today's video. So last time I did a video similar to this, I did a video, what are the differences between an XLS and an XLT or adrenaline package truck. And today we're going to be talking about the differences by model year and what I've seen. So this video is entirely based off of personal experiences. So if there's anything I'm missing, it's because I either haven't seen it or something else, or if I guess something wrong, and maybe it's because I haven't seen something. So for example, 04s came with the option for colored bumpers, and so did 05s, but I haven't seen many 03s that have it, so I don't know if that was an option for 03 or not. So don't call me a hack if I get something wrong. That's kind of the basic gist of it. But anyway, let's get into the differences between 2001 and 2002, all the way up to 2003, 2004, and 2005. There's a lot of differences we can go over. Let's get right into the first one. So 2001, you saw the introduction of the trucks. You got the XL and the XLT. There was no other packages. I believe there were rumors around there being an Eddie Bauer trim, but that also never appeared to have come to fruition, not that I've heard of, at least. The XL later on became the XLS, which is what mine happens to be. And all in all, these trucks have a lot of options to pick from for the earlier model years, but there's a lot of stuff that changed. So exterior-wise, nothing changed. It is the exact same truck you'll buy in 2001 as you would find it in 2005. And that obviously makes things a little bit odd to tell. But as far as body panels go, nothing changed, but there is a very easy way to depict a 2001 or even a 2002, because 2001 was the only year that had two things: the Explorer side script on the doors, as well as the red Sport Trac badge on the tailgate. Now, if you got one that was past 2001, you did not get that. The red badge, I believe, stuck around only for 2001, and the side scripts may have stayed into 2002. That I don't know. 2003, they got rid of the side script and went to a more traditional silver chrome badge on the tailgate to match the rest of the badge work. And I personally prefer it. I think it looks more modern, looks more clean, but some people may prefer the old red badge. And then that's really the only major cosmetic exterior differences between a 2001 and a 2003 to 2005. Now, one place you will see a lot of changes is in the interior. Here is a little shot from my interior. Obviously this is going to be a little bit different because mine is customized, but the main things you're going to notice between 2001 and 2003 are going to be the door cards. The 2003 door cards, in my opinion, are not as cool looking. The 2001s had a very nice round circle in there, whereas the 03s and up get this kind of like cheap work truck kind of square shaped speaker grills, and it just doesn't feel right to me. And there's a little bit of silver trim on the door handles, and the 2003s and up you get a more basic black door handle, and your grab handle, I should say. So the interior on the 03s, in my opinion, is actually worse than the 01s and 02s, but that's my personal opinion. If it were up to me, this thing would have 01 door cards in it anyway. The gauge cluster was unchanged from 01 to 03, but in 2004, they introduced the digital display, which simply was just a mileage readouts, fuel economy, and a message center, very similar to what GM was offering at the time in their trucks. And it was a really cool feature, but unfortunately, 04 and 05 clusters are very prone to going bad. And as such, ironically enough, getting the nicer cluster will oftentimes lead to you having to spend more on cluster repair bills when those clusters do have problems, which is apparently quite frequent on 04 and 05s. When I was a part of the Sport Trac owners group on Facebook, it was really one of the most common things I would see is, hey, I've got an 04 or 05, where can I get my cluster serviced? And the 01 03s don't tend to have that problem quite so much, but mine does tend to have a weird thing with a tachometer, and I'm pretty sure it's a bad connection, but I haven't gotten to the point to diagnose that yet because it involves a lot of work to get the cluster out. But interior-wise, those are really the main things that you'll notice are changed. The head unit is different by trim. The XLTs had a cassette deck, whereas XLs and XLSs did not. And the Adrenalines used just the XLT stuff. Which brings me to the Adrenaline. The Adrenaline also had pretty much every feature Sport Trac could get in 04 and 05. Unfortunately, unlike the 07 and 10 trucks, the second generation trucks, they did not have as cool as power plants and the exterior modifications. I mean, it looked just like a normal Sport Trac. Well, 04 and 05's Adrenalines also had the cosmetic stuff, the color bumpers, all that jazz. But yeah, interior-wise, depending on what your opinion is, one is not necessarily, well, one technically is better than the other. Some people may prefer the kind of more simple layout and more laid-back layout of the 03 to 05s, And some people might prefer the more higher end feelings, in my opinion, of the 01 and 02s on that mark. But nonetheless, that is the interior. The clusters are different, the door cards are different, the radios are different, because obviously technology jumped a lot between 2001 and 2005. But that's pretty much the gist of the exterior and the interior. Now we're going to talk about mechanically, because that is where these trucks differ the most. And so let's go from 01 and 02. You had the Job 1 4-liter V6. So for those who don't know, this engine is a single overcam V6. It is a mixed bag when it comes to opinions from enthusiasts. I myself am mixed on it, but many other enthusiasts either really love this engine or really hate it for various reasons. Ford actually had a bit of a problem with the 4-liter due to poor choices in timing chain, tensioner materials, as well as thermostat housings, which proved to be the two biggest problems of 4-liters in existence, regardless of what platform you pick. Outside of the Mustang, oddly enough, the Mustang was the only one that appeared to have been a little bit impervious to a lot of the 4.0's issues back in the 01 to 05. Granted, the Mustang got it in 05 and got an updated version of it, but when we're talking about these trucks specifically, 01 and 02 tend to be the most problematic, as they tend to have the hotter aluminum intake manifold, as well as the more weaker timing chain components. In 2003, they were supposedly updated, but they still tend to have a high rate of failure, just like the 01s do. But you tend to have better luck about them living with the chain rattle, such as this one. Mine has actually had it for about 3 years, well, maybe even more than that, 4 years now actually. 2017, this truck developed the very first of the timing chain rattles, and it hung around. It's been fine ever since, and I'm still having it to this day, but I'm not having any other problems with it. And all in all, the truck does really well with what it does. And that's really the only major mechanical differences under the hood, is that the engine has an aluminum intake manifold on the 01s and 02s, and in 03 to 05 you also had the plastic manifold, which in my opinion is a little bit better. It holds heat less, but it does still get rather hot. And of course the thermostat housings, that was completely just a poor choice of design. A plastic thermostat housing, it doesn't make any sense, but it is possible to upgrade to metal like this one is. It's an expensive endeavor, but it's cheaper than buying several back-to-back of the plastic housings. Another thing that changed in 03 to 05 was the introduction of a flex fuel variant of the 4-liter. 03 05 trucks have the option to go flex fuel and get E85. Mine, unfortunately, is not one of those. I believe 04 and 05s actually came with this motor standard, while 03s it was an option. And then of course we go to the back side. On the back end, you only had drum brakes for 01 and 02. 03 introduced the rear disc brakes, which I prefer. Drum brakes suck. Disc brake superiority, gang. But the trucks all in all mechanically do vary a lot compared by model year. So 03 to 05s, you get the option of the digital cluster, the adrenaline package, you get disc brakes in the rear, and an ethanol compatible engine. All that in the 04 to 05s, which is why a lot of people will say if you're going to buy a first gen, you buy an 04 or 05. In my opinion, you buy the 03, it's a bit more simple, you don't have the cluster issues, but you still get the updated timing components, which still suck, but they're better than the original 01 and 02s. However, your best bang for your buck is an 01 4x4. You're going to get really good use out of those trucks, and they hold their value exceptionally well from what I've noticed, and as well as the 04 to 05 adrenalines. But anyway, that is kind of all I have for you guys on the differences between the 2001 and 2003s, as well as the 03 to 05 model years of the Sport Trac. So all that said, hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe, more content coming soon on the truck, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, guys.